I want you to think of the 5 most important women in your life. Now I want you to think about this. 1 in 5 females experience some form of sexual assault in their lifetime. 1 in 33 men experience some form of sexual assault in their lifetime. And shockingly of all, 1 sexual assault is committed every 98 seconds in the United States. That means, by the time I finish here, there'll be about 7 to 8 sexual assaults committed in the United States. This concerns me because my 2 twin older sisters, who are now 23 years old, can be potential victims. Despite the preparation they've gotten all their life. Preparation not for a test, not for an exam, but for a safe environment and for respect. And you know what the worst part is? It's become part of their life, and it's become part of every girl's life. We see things on Twitter like this all the time. This is called rape culture. Rape culture is being taught not to get raped instead of being taught not to rape. Rape culture is usually defined as a sociological concept used to describe a setting in which rape is pervasive and normalized due to societal attitudes about gender and sexuality. However, there are many different interpretations of this definition, and I actually created my own definition along with my interpretation. Rape culture is a set of attitudes of people in an environment where rape is prevalent and in which sexual violence against individuals is normalized to an extent and excused in the media and popular culture. So the term rape is often used as an umbrella term in some of these definitions. However, I believe that this trivializes the victims of actual rape. Rape is an extremely heinous crime that should be dealt with accordingly. But if you put things like unwanted touching in the same category, then it actually lowers the actual severity of rape. However, rape culture does address sexual assault. Sexual assault is an umbrella term for any unwanted sexual contact that is without the explicit consent of the recipient. So I wanted to point out that in my definition, I used normal to an extent and excused. We, as members of the Western society, do not classify rape as normal. However, sexual assault does entail things like catcalling and the vines that we see about him tapping that and the weird groping you see in movies of people in the club. I know that it sounds bizarre to say that we consider these things as normal, but I doubt that you'd actually notice them if you were just sitting at home with your popcorn watching a movie. We hear things like, "She asked for it." "Boys will be boys." "Nah, bro, she wants me." When these cases are usually brought up, the comments are, "Well, what was she thinking being out that late?" Or, "Well, what was she thinking being drunk?" Or, "That's why you don't get drunk at parties." This is called victim blaming. Victim blaming is the attitude which suggests that the victim, rather than the predator, bears responsibility for the assault. Victim blaming occurs when it is assumed that an individual did something to provoke the violence by actions, words, or dress. Rape in fact, a Toronto, like right here, a Toronto police officer named Michael Sanguinetti said women shouldn't dress like sluts if they want to avoid being raped. When I was doing my research, I came across like dozens and dozens of cases, and I was thinking, how is this even possible? Rapists, abusers, they're all crazy. But then I came across this. 7 out of 10 rapes are committed by somebody known by the victim. And then I came across many other cases where the abusers were actually not even held accountable for their actions. Brock Turner, for example, he committed 3 counts of felony sexual assaults, and only served 92 days in jail. Kyle Vo, a former university student at southeastern Pennsylvania, sexually assaulted a woman in her dorm room while she was unconscious and intoxicated. Rape culture exists because we don't believe it does. As much as the world's gender equality has evolved, misogyny is still deeply accepted in our casual conversations, TV shows, music we listen to, and all sorts of things. The idea that women's sexual desires are not nearly as significant as men's, just as men follow a trend of hyper-masculinity, a trend and common belief of uncontrollable hypersexuality. Boys will be boys. So I came up with a list of 5 things that we can do to eliminate rape culture. Number 1, to the teachers in the room, raise your own kids to understand the consequences and severity of these actions. Raise them to understand that it isn't funny to sit quietly when a joke is made. And that brings me to the guys in the room. When you're making jokes with your friends, understand that it's bigger than that. Understand that the jokes that you make sexual assault seem as if it's acceptable and just a joke. Number 2, victim blaming being one of the most prominent issues in rape culture. Victim blaming can be challenged by challenging the people that actually make victim blaming comments and acknowledge that victims are their own best experts. Give them the resources and refrain from the question, why did she stay, to why did the predator abuse? Number 3, we need to re-examine and reimagine masculinity. Scientists have proven that it takes only 21 days to start a habit or break a new one. I'm not saying it's just that easy to change your entire mentality, of course not. But just like that, in only 21 days, a change can be made. And number 4, media perpetuates rape culture in all sorts of ways, from the old music video Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke to the Dolce & Gabbana advertisements. We see it everywhere. So think about what you see and use your platform. We have access to Twitter, we have access to Instagram. Use your platforms to communicate why these things are a problem. And just like that, you can educate the people following you as well. Number 5. Don't forget to speak about it. We often think that if we don't speak about something, then it won't happen. If we don't hear about it, then we won't think about it. However, it's happened, and it's happening, and it's going to happen. So speak about it, and speak about why it shouldn't. Speak about the consequences, and speak about the signs and signals. So last but not least, to eliminate the rape culture we live in today, we need to stop, think, and then speak. Thank you.